where they're at their best. Forcing the turnover with their defense and getting out and running. The Saints are as good as anybody in this league in transition.
Kenny Hasbrook leads the conference in steals per game, among the nation's best, able to save it, get it to the maestro, who hands off to Ubilis for the finish.
And that's what they do. They turn you over. Tops in the league, forcing 17 turnovers per game. And there's the unselfish play of Ronald Moore. Talk about the Fab Four, and certainly the numbers that Hasbrook, Franklin, and Ubilis have put up. But Ronald Moore, he's Ringo. I mean, he is Ringo. He's that fourth guy, the fourth wheel, but a guy that you cannot forget about because he's as good as any point guard in this league.
Well, another set of numbers that just make your jaw drop for Ronald Moore, the point guard for Siena. Last 14 games, 72 assists, 22 turnovers.
Yeah, you got to love those numbers. And he rebounds the basketball, defends, does a little bit of everything. Not where you want to put the basketball against the full court pressure. Deep coffin corner. Pearson turns it over.
Consecutive turnovers forced by Siena. Ronald Moore now the inbound man. Into Kenny Hasbrook. Josh Duell, who is a three-point threat. Moore blocked. Nice defense by Devin Austin to recover and get a piece of that shot.
Well, he's got the length and quickness to be able to stay with Moore, and then the length to be able to go and challenge.
Well, in that game last night against St. Peter's, we talked about Austin scoring 26, but he also was active, had 7 rebounds, and played that all-around type of game that you talk about, Rob.
And that's the thing. Be active, especially on the backboards.
Pearson uses the Austin screen. And now on the switch, Ronald Moore guards Austin on the post. Shot clock at 5. Smith from the foul line. Gets it to go. 5-4. 3 minutes in. Ubilis one-on-one with Green. His pass goes out of bounds. Deflected by the Jaspers, so the Saints will keep it. 26 seconds on the shot clock. Here's Ronald Moore, the 6-foot, 149-pound point guard from Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. Duell's pass had it set up nicely, but it never got to Franklin, deflected away, and the Jaspers turn over the Saints.
And again, it's Austin using his long arms to get a deflection.
Nice job to use your body, Chris Smith. Keep the defender on your hip.
But now you got to run back. You can't score and then turn your head. Make or miss, Siena's coming right up your back.
Now, they're not the 1989 Loyola Marymount track meet team, but the Saints certainly do like to get up and down.
Well, certainly do. 11 times they've been above the 80-point mark, and in 9 of those games, 9 straight, they've won. So certainly you don't want to get yourself going up and down the floor with Siena.
The Saints have won each of their last 3 games to close out the regular season by 17 points each. And another turnover has Edwin Ubilis on the move.
Well, let's talk about keys. The other key for anybody against Siena is you've got to take care of the basketball. You cannot turn it over and expect to be hanging around with the Saints.
Well, the big crowd here in Albany likes the showtime Siena Saints. Alex Franklin with the slam. And the Saints just keep turning over the Jaspers and turning it into points. We'll take a break from the Times Union Center. Saints by 3. Back in Albany, Siena with the early 3-point lead in this second men's quarterfinal of the Citizens Bank MAAC Basketball Championship. And a big part of the reason why we've got a big crowd here is that in this ball game, 2 first-teamers, Kenny Hasbrook and Edwin Ubilis. First time since 1993 that the Saints have put 2 people on the MAAC first team. Back in 93, it was Doremus Bennerman and Lee Matthews. But this combination can hang with anybody in Siena history.
No question about that. First time since the league went to 10 teams that anybody had 2 guys on the first team. And as I said before, Alex Franklin got off to such a great start in the season. Twice in the first 5 weeks, he was the MAAC player of the week before he went out with the back injury. Had he not been banged up and suffered through the tough back, Hasbrook just steps right in for the lane violation. Mental mistake there. You'd certainly make a case for Alex Franklin as well.
And then the, as you say, the Ringo of the foursome, Ronald Moore, has assisted already on all 4 Siena field goals. So as he goes, so go his teammates.
Guy that sets the beat, I guess.
Yes, exactly. Very good analogy. Smith can't get the roll. Long rebound. Andrew Gabriel just off the bench. Talk about an active player in reserve for the Jaspers, but he could not get possession, and so Siena gets it back. There's Ronald Moore.
Gabriel certainly was active last night on the offensive glass against St. Peter's.
He went for 9 rebounds total in 26 minutes and helping beat the Peacocks. Ubilis driving on Green, little leaner. Too strong. Nice job by Green to seal Ubilis for the rebound.
He bodied up on the shot, made it difficult, and then was able to keep a body on him to keep him off the offensive glass.
Now these are two very young teams who you figure in the next year or two will be among the best in the MAAC and battling for MAAC supremacy. Pearson, the sophomore leader from the backcourt, gets it to Austin, who lays it in.
And Austin continuing his fine play. You know, last year a lot was expected of him. Even this year he was a preseason selection to be on one of the MAAC all-league teams. But at times he disappeared. Most of the time, though, that was early in the season. Been playing better basketball lately.
Josh Jewell after the rebound. He's got it. Ubilis, who leads the league in three-point shooting percentage, passed up to 3 and wound up traveling. That's quite a combination for Ubilis. You can make a case that he's the best dunker in the league, and he leads the league at nearly 50% on his three-point tries. How do you defend that?
Well, what he did is he really worked on his outside shooting in the offseason, shooting it at 46%. How about 52% here in this building? Last year wasn't a threat to shoot it from 3. He added that to his game, and that's why he made the big leap.
Green guarded by Franklin. Pearson tries to cross over more. Now the step back 2, and he's got it. Beautiful looking shot for the sophomore out of the Bronx.
He's got that high arcing shot, terrific rotation, and he's been in a groove lately, shooting the basketball really, really well over the last 4 or 5 games.
Franklin works on Gabriel. Can't get the roll. Gabriel after it, Hasbrook after it, and it's Moore who comes away with the basketball and gives it right back to Hasbrook, who attacks. Foul against the Jaspers, and Hasbrook will go to the line to shoot 2.
That's why you can't give him extra opportunities by turning it over or allowing him to get a couple extra on the offensive glass. Siena doing a good job being aggressive on the board. Here's the back end, a nice pump fake by Hasbrook to get him up in the air and find contact.
First foul on Smith and the 3rd against Manhattan.
Smith has the size and quickness to be able to stay with Kenny Hasbrook, and a lot of other guards in this league, quite frankly, aren't big enough to be able to hang with Kenny Hasbrook as he gets him into the lane.
With good size on the perimeter for Manhattan for all of their guys. Rashad Green, 6'4", 195. Pearson, 6'2", 170. And Smith, 6'3", 200. So they can make it a little tougher on the Siena guards.
And that's why they're a tough match for Siena in a 1-8 game.
Pearson on the switch, shoots over Duell, and off the mark.
Solid block out to keep Gabriel off the offensive board.
Ubilis' entry pass gathered by Franklin, and he's tied up. And a reach-in foul called against Rashad Green. As you see, he's not doing his Arthur Fonzarelli impersonation. He thinks he should have gotten a jump ball.
And you see the dump in there. Everybody trying to break down and get it out. Green thought he had all ball.
Politicking there. We're in Albany at the Times Union Center. Quarterfinal number 2 of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference postseason tournament. Doug Sherman, Rod Kennedy with you throughout the rest of the day as well. We've got 2 more quarterfinals this evening coming up. Chris De La Rosa and Tate Fisher have come into the backcourt for Siena, replacing Ronald Moore and Kenny Hasbrook. Franklin off the spin. Right around Gabriel for the two-handed slam.
Now more than just scoring with his back to the basket. Started with his back to the basket, and the quick spin got himself to the lane.
And you see 7 quick points for the sophomore out of Pennsylvania. Bodies on the floor. Whistle finally comes. Gabriel had possession, and it's a jump ball. The Jaspers will keep it down by a point, 11-10. Austin, catch and shoot from deep. A little strong. Franklin with another rebound.
Boy, that looked good straight on, though. Showing you his confidence level is sky high.
De La Rosa's shovel pass off the hands of Ubilis and out of bounds. Devin Austin, Chris Smith, Antoine Pearson, Andrew Gabriel, and Rashad Green on the floor for Manhattan. The Jaspers with a 12-18 overall record this year, having come off a 73-59 win last night against St. Peter's. They out-rebounded the Peacocks 42-31 and shot very well from the perimeter, hitting 7 of 15, which again is one of the weaknesses of this Siena team, defending that three-point line. Devin Austin on the give back to Green. Gabriel saves it. Shot clock now at 8. Pearson, terrific look into the lane. Green leaves the defender and lays it in.
That's good patience right there, because it was solid defense by Siena. Nothing happening, but be patient enough to find a good shot late in the shot clock.
Corey McGee sets the screen on Green. Ubilis right to the bucket for 2.
Oh, Austin was there and he tried to bump off. You've got to stay with Ubilis, force him to kick it back out. If you don't, he's going to turn the corner and score on you.
Well, it's quite a sophomore class for Siena. We've seen Franklin already with 7, Ubilis with 6. Ronald Moore as well, part of that super sophomore group for Fran McCaffrey's club. Gabriel driving on McGee, and Corey McGee picks up the foul. Timeout on the floor with 11:15 remaining first half. Siena 13, Manhattan 12. The Jaspers looking to knock off the #1 seed here in Albany.
This is Siena, a college that builds competence and character, where you're part of a team, a place of academic rigor that builds leaders, offering opportunity and values that prepare you for change, leadership, and life. The tradition, the community of Siena, educating for success, one student at a time.
It appears that Jimmy Patsos, the head coach of the Loyola Greyhounds, is headed out of the building and handshaking, hugging pretty much every Greyhound fan he can find, although that man has a Siena hat on. His team is into tomorrow's semifinals. Also tomorrow, a big deal if you're a fan of High School Musical. Here at the Citizens Bank MAAC Basketball Championships, before the Women's Championship game, the voice of Troy, Drew Seeley, will entertain. He's going to sing the national anthem. He will have a concert at halftime of the women's game, and then he's also going to conduct an autograph session during the second half. You can buy tickets at 1-800-30-EVENT or go on to MAACsports.com for more information. But Patsos is no less the entertainer than Seeley. And it was interesting seeing during the press conference with Coach Patsos, we saw him get emotional when talking about Gerald Brown.
Well, that's one of the keys. He said, hey, he chose us when it wasn't popular to choose Loyola. Remember, this is a team, as we said, who had won just one game prior to that. And you need a couple of guys to show some faith in you as a coach and show some faith in your school. And by doing that, all of a sudden, you get some other guys who now want to come back and play for you.
And so last year, Loyola wins 18. This year, 19, a new school record. And they are on to the MAAC semifinals. They've reached the Final Four with the ultimate goal of getting to the NCAA tournament. Darrell Crawford fouls Tay Fisher on the drive. Non-shooting foul. And so the Saints will inbound from the baseline. Crawford has accepted a new role this year for Barry Rorson. He was a starter for the better part of last year as a freshman, and he has really thrived as a sixth man. Same can be said for Tay Fisher, with the senior co-captain for the Saints, who misfires on his first attempt.
And you can't let him get open threes like that.
Well, he's nearly 50% on the year, among the league leaders. 0 for 2 so far, but the Saints just keep trashing the offensive glass.
Well, certainly they've gotten themselves some extra opportunities on the offensive boards.
De La Rosa, watched by Smith, pulls the trigger from 17. Long rebound to Devin Austin.
That's not the shot they need there. De La Rosa's been getting more minutes as of late for running the team.
There's your chief thief. Second steal so far for Hasbrook. Foul called on the second shot. De La Rosa threw himself into a sea of green shirts looking for the call, didn't get it. Second time around, Alex Franklin does get the call.
I talked about the fact that Siena is as good as anybody in the country at coming up with steals. Top 10 in the country as a team. Hasbrook top 20 in the country individually. Nothing happening there, and a bit of a bailout on that as well. Franklin got himself well underneath the bucket. Not much contact, but sometimes when you get playing at a good pace, you get a whistle.
Big difference in team fouls so far here this afternoon, Rob. 6 against the Jaspers, just 1 called so far against the top-seeded Saints.
Well, they do a great job of getting themselves to the foul line. They've made nearly as many foul shots as their opponents have taken, and that's always a recipe for success.
Franklin's a sophomore out of Reading, PA. Makes a pair from the line. He leads all scorers with 9. And Siena on top by 3. Ublis back in. And Franklin goes out.
Now, both these teams run a number of guys in and out of the game, use their bench, and that's always important in tournament play. You've got to string together 3 or 4 consecutive wins to win a title.
Smith from deep on the right side has it rattle out.
And right in rhythm. That's a good looking 3 right there from Smith. That's not a force.
Tay Fisher called for steps. Kind of an awkward catch on the pass and couldn't get his feet set underneath him. Well, we talk about the reclamation projects in the MAAC. Fran McCaffrey, what he's done in his 3 years at Siena is no less remarkable than Jimmy Patsos or some of the other situations. Certainly have the support and the arena to build upon, but this Siena program was down when he took it over.
Yeah, it went from last to first, from 10th seed the year before he got here to first seed here now, so that's a quick and dramatic turnaround.
19:20 left first half. Smith trying to post up and over top of Hasbrook. McGee goes flying out of bounds and helps to save it for Siena. Ronald Moore kicks to the corner, and again Tay Fisher not quite ready on the pass from Moore.
And you say it with a little bit of question, because why not be ready? That's what Moore does. He gets himself into the lane. That's what Fisher does. Just get yourself set, ready. One of the keys is getting yourself shot ready before the ball's in flight.
And so Tay Fisher, with his shoulders down, senior co-captain trying to finish out his college career, has a short stay on the floor, back to the bench. But the turnover forced again. Pearson. And now we get our first look at Patrick Boulier, 6'2" sophomore from Cameroon. Pearson goes out after committing the turnover. Under 9 minutes remaining first half. Hasbrook has a quick step on Smith. Waits for the defense to commit, and then he goes up and over and knocks it down.
And that's why you jump stop. You don't commit before you see what the defense is going to do. Get in the lane, keep your dribble alive, and keep 2 feet on the floor.
17-12, a 5-point lead, the biggest for Siena here in this ball game. Trying to find Gabriel on the post with McGee guarding. Crawford now knifing to the lane. Gabriel crashes to tip, but Moore comes away with it. And as always, the Saints with their foot on the pedal. Just off the bench, the freshman misfires Clarence Jackson. And then a reach-in foul in the backcourt.
Well, as you said, they're going to try and step on the gas anytime they can. As they come up in transition, they'll fan out to the 3-point line, try to stretch you out, create some driving lanes. Barry Rorson's team's got to make sure they get back each and every possession.
Now Ryan Rossiter comes into the ball game. He was a starter at midseason for Siena. McGee was the starter at the beginning of the year. Now Josh Duell at the end of the year is that 5th starter for the Saints. But all 3 of their role-playing big players have had minutes this year. Kenny Hasbrook with his 3rd steal. Boy, the anticipation with which he plays the game at the defensive end is remarkable.
Yeah, quickness to get there, but it all starts, as you said, with the anticipation, thinking to play through. You think you've got a back door, and there he is closing down on it.
While he has been in a shooting slump for the better part of the last month, and there's a carry called against Hasbrook, he does so many other things that Siena can not afford to do without. Off the turnover, Jaspers have it when we come back. back in Albany with Siena leading by 5, and while the Jaspers have gone cold the last 4 minutes, the Saints just keep going right to the basket and making it pay off, Rob.
Not getting production inside into paint. Franklin, you see, high percentage shot. Ubelis as good as any wing in this league, especially in transition. Quick spin and finished by Franklin. Again, not a high percentage shot. And then Ubelis just kind of skates by and floats by. Always under control, makes everything look easy.
And we take a look at our stat track. In spite of all of their easy baskets, Siena just 7 of 18 from the floor. There's another steal by Kenny Hasbrook, his 4th already here today.
Too many turnovers for the Jaspers.
And off the spin, the junior co-captain out of Capitol Heights, Maryland, with the bucket.
And Siena never wastes those turnovers. They turn them into quick points, and that's how they get on runs. Right now in the midst of an 8-0 run.
Green, Gabriel, Austin. Foul on the drive. Going to go against Rossiter. Don't miss out on the excitement. Get your tickets for the Citizens Bank MAAC Basketball Championships going on now up until Monday right here at the Times Union Center in Albany. You can buy tickets by calling 1-800-30-EVENT or go online for more information at MAACsports.com. Andrew Gabriel and the Jaspers hoping they are around for tomorrow. They are the 8th seed. Siena is the number 1 seed. And while the Jaspers took care of St. Peter's in the first round last night, much bigger task here today.
And if you're going to be around, you got to do the simple things. Take care of the basketball, make foul shots. 0 for 4 from the line.
Hasbrook, nice look. Rossiter for the easy 2.
And oh, by the way, guard somebody inside. Once again, Hasbrook's been able to get into the paint pretty much at will.
And a timeout called quickly by Barry Rorson. He needs to get Antoine Pearson back on the floor.
Absolutely. You need your point guard in there because they're not taking care of the basketball. Kenny Hasbrook's been in the lane pretty much all game long, and when he gets there, good things are going to happen. Sharing the basketball, draws his second defender as Gabriel steps over. Too late to get back to Rossiter, who's able to score it.
Siena in the midst of a 10-0 run, Rob. During that time, Manhattan has turned it over 4 times and missed 4 shots and missed those free throws.
And missed Antoine Pearson because he was sitting on the bench for an extended period during that run. They need his presence out on the floor to take care of the basketball. Remember, he turned it over into pressure and then went down, sat on the bench, and that's when Siena's made the extended run.
There you see, over 5 minutes since the Jaspers' last bucket. Devin Austin, coming off his season-high 26 points last night, has 4 points out of the 12 for Manhattan, but hasn't really gotten going. And check called against Clarence Jackson.
And here's where a young team in Manhattan has to show some maturity. You can't try to get all 9 of them back right now. You've just got to be able to execute, start making some shots, and come up with some stops. Hasbrook nearly another steal. Like a free safety out there trying to read what's going on and then closes on the ball quickly.
That's a very good analogy. The read and react. Pearson, nice up fake to free himself of Moore, but he misfired. Jackson the rebound.
And they desperately need him to start making some of those.
Moore back to Jackson. And this versatile running attack for the Saints continues to show itself.
You miss and you don't sprint back, that's when you're going to get scored on quickly.
Jackson, a 6'3" freshman out of Marlton, New Jersey, whose minutes have been limited this year, but he extends the run to 12. Lob inside to Austin, and that breaks that 12-0 run.
And that's what we've not seen enough from him. Using his body and his size inside in the paint.
Ubelis, blocked by Gabriel.
Good defensive rotation.
Pearson spins. Little short. Ball bounces around, comes to Green. Trying to get Ubelis off his feet, can't do it. Another chance for Austin, and he gets it to roll around.
Now those long arms, he's able to come over top of people and get his hands on the basketball. Manhattan, all of a sudden, 2 back-to-back baskets inside by Austin. They've got themselves settled down The lead down to 7.
Well, Devin Austin now with 6. He's a junior out of White Plains who has kind of taken the younger players on the roster under his wing this year. Endured a hamstring injury early in the year, but back to 100%, and certainly showing here this weekend that the MAAC tournament is a chance for him to shine. He's done it in years past, trying to do it here again this weekend. Under 5 minutes remaining first half. Darrell Crawford driving on Jackson. Nice pass to Gabriel. And a chance for a three-point play.
He didn't come up with the clean catch, but he didn't panic. Staying with it long enough to finally come up with the basketball and fight his way through the contact. He's a guy that's got a good strength in his lower body as he's able to gather, able to explode right through the contact.
The season numbers for Gabriel exceeded in last night's first round game. He really played well against St. Peter's with his 6 points and 9 rebounds.
But he's struggled all season long from the foul line, just 50% on the season, and we've seen him miss a few here early on. 0 for 5.
Moore, Franklin, Duell, Hasbrook, and Ubilis, the starting 5 back on the floor for the Saints. And immediately Franklin on the glass, Duell on the glass, but Austin with a big block shot. Green to Crawford on the run for the Jaspers. Catch and shoot from the left side, no. Green with a nice rebound off the up fake, frees himself and missed the bunny. Crawford gets the chance for a putback, but Ubilis with the block, and here comes Siena very quickly. Hasbrook. Ubilis and Crawford got tangled in the backcourt, and so while Siena was running at one end, looking like they're going to get an easy basket, stop is called, technicals both ways, and you see Ubilis being cooled down by his head coach.
Well, last thing that Fran McCaffrey needs is for Ubilis to get himself in a situation where you pick up a technical, pick up 2, get ejected. The last thing that you need there. I'll tell you what I'm not quite sure of is whether or not that basket should have counted. And I think they counted the basket and then gave the technicals. But I think it was before that, and so we haven't seen the score on the board. The officials sorting it out.
Lead official Joe DeMeo explaining it to the Manhattan huddle.
Yep, and now the basket does not count, and I think that's the right call because they were tangled up here at midcourt before the score.
So that's foul number 2 on Ubilis. And yes, he will head to the bench as Fran McCaffrey tries to cool him down here late in the first half. Tay Fisher will come back into the ball game for the Saints.
You can't lose your cool. Remember, you're not only thinking about today's game, you're thinking about the next couple.
Ubilis, a tremendous story. Lost his mom back when he was in junior high school and went quiet, went silent basically for a year. And has certainly come out of his shell, and the move to Siena College has been a perfect fit for him. But he is on the bench potentially for the rest of the half. Hasbrook misses the finger roll. Moore, the offensive rebound to the left hand, and he gets it to go.
Well, Gabriel was trying to leak out and get out in transition instead of securing the rebound. What you've got to do if you're Manhattan, again, take care of your business. Rebound the basketball, don't turn it over, make foul shots. It's a wonder they're still in the ball game, only down by 7 because they haven't done those 3 things.
Franklin guarding Pearson. Pearson into traffic, and an offensive foul called against Manhattan.
Wow, that's a tough one.
And so Pearson picks up his second personal foul, and we'll take a break. 3:26 remaining first half. The Jaspers trail the Saints 25-18 in the MAAC quarterfinals.
St. Peter's College, success is a team effort. St. Peter's College. Education one student at a time.
Siena 25, Manhattan 18. It's the MAAC Championship presented by Pepsi. Get your tickets now for the MAAC Baseball Championships to be held at Waterfront Park in Trenton, New Jersey, May 22nd through the 24th. Buy tickets at 609-394-3300 or go to MAACsports.com for more information. Rob, this a Siena ball club that within the last 2 weeks has had 3 different players go for 30 points or more. Alex Franklin, Kenny Hasbrook, Edwin Ubilis. Not many teams in the country can say that.
No, certainly not. Maybe not another team in the country that can say that, but that's the type of scoring they get from those 3 guys.
And actually, Hasbrook in the last month has gone over 30 twice.
That's why they're so tough to prepare for, because you can't worry about just taking away one guy. Take away one guy and all of a sudden the next guy steps up and is capable of scoring 30.
Franklin into double figures already and a chance for 3.
That's just terrific movement without the basketball. Nice screen along the baseline to free him up. And when he comes free, he's going to catch and finish.
Well, a good sign for Siena is that they are 0 for 4 from beyond the arc. As far as I'm concerned, they're statistically better when they take fewer threes.
No question about it. 16-2 when they take less than 20 three-point attempts, because when they pound the basketball inside, they convert, they get themselves to the line, they beat you up from 15 feet away, and that's their formula for success.
And Ronald Moore now with 6 assists for Siena. He has assisted on half of the Saints' field goals. Manhattan down 10, their largest deficit so far here tonight.
And they've got to get the ball movement. Too much standing around against the zone here now. All of a sudden you can't just stand around. You got to get some player movement and ball movement.
Austin off the up fake with 2 to shoot. Able to knock it down. Big shot for Devin Austin.
And the way he's been shooting it, as soon as he shows the basketball, you've got to respect it. Duel gets off the ground. He's able to step behind him. Knock down the 3.
Hasbrook inside Franklin. Just as easy as that.
Yep, good action. It all starts with the pick and pop and the ability of Duel to handle the basketball on the perimeter, on the ball reversal, and then they just seal and throw it to Franklin. Right now, keep throwing it to Franklin.
He has already matched his season average of 14 points.
And one of the things about this Manhattan team, they're not real big, strong, and physical on the front line defensively to be able to handle a guy like Franklin.
Smith over Tay Fisher.
Wow.
Bad shot, more of the rebound.
Bad shot and even worse result, because now it allows Siena to get out and get a quick score.
Another assist for Ronald Moore and yet another finish in tight quarters for Alex Franklin.
Bad shots, guarded deep shots will always kill you, but they'll kill you even more against a team that rushes it the way that Siena does.
16 points for Franklin, 7 assists for Moore.
And one thing Fran McCaffrey does, you get hot, he's going to ride you. He's going to put the ball in your hands. That's why 3 different guys have scored 30 in the last 5 games.
Hasbrook trying for another steal on Austin. 1 minute left in the half.
And that's a little bit of that pro mentality. Remember, longtime assistant at Notre Dame to John McLeod, longtime NBA coach. So somebody gets hot, ride him.
And Fran McCaffrey was hired by Digger Phelps and then kept around by Coach McLeod during a long apprenticeship as an assistant at Notre Dame. Austin with the easy layup.
And boy, did Manhattan need that, but they've got to figure out a way to come up with the stop here, see if they can't get themselves some momentum. Austin has done his part. 13 of Manhattan's 23 points.
And with the shot clock off, Ronald Moore catches his breath. He has had an active first half with 7 assists, helping Siena to this 9-point lead.
And again, you know, sometimes you forget about him, but he's so important to this team. All you have to do is look at his minutes played.
Hasbrook can't get the 15-footer to go. And it's Manhattan basketball with 1.6 remaining here in the first half. Coming up at the half, we'll have a feature on Alex Franklin and Edwin Ubelis, that terrific sophomore combination for the Saints, will also update the MAAC tournament and have our highlights and stats from this ball game.
Manhattan needs the guy from game day down at Durham today. He hit the half-court shot as part of game day. Won himself some money as well as some money for Duke.
Smith, long shot. It would have counted. Instead, he winds up hitting our cameraman on the baseline. Alex Franklin, the story so far, 6 of 9 from the floor with the 16 points to lead the Saints into the locker room with a 9-point lead. Siena 32, Manhattan 23. We'll be back with the MAAC halftime report here in Albany right after this. Brought to you by FYE for your entertainment. And so all the numbers, when you break them down, in favor of Siena, but really only a 9-point lead. And keep in mind that Jaspers rallied to beat Siena the last time they met down at Grady Gym. They are lucky to be down by 9 points because they were completely outplayed. One of the reasons why Antoine Pearson, our guy in the Star Watch, well, may have been the wrong guy to put in there after Devin Austin scored it so well yesterday. He was quiet. On the other side, Edwin Ubelis, he's been quiet as well, but he's been able to be quiet because of the way Franklin's played. Quick foul just 5 seconds in. Kenny Hasbrook picks up his first. And so a turnover on the first possession for Siena. Pearson, Green, Joe LaCour, Austin, and Smith on the floor for Manhattan to start the second half. Moore, Hasbrook, Franklin, Duell, and Ubelis back out on the court. Same starting 5 of the second half for Fran McCaffrey's club. Ronald Moore, who was Mr. Assist in the first half, knocks down the 3 to begin the second half. Well, he really thought about it. He wasn't going to take that initially. Then all of a sudden, Pearson late closing out. He said, why not? Well, that's the first 3-pointer made by Siena. They were 0 for 4 in that first half. Duell and Joe LaCour doing their own dueling dance. Joe LaCour misfires. And here comes Moore the other way. Quickly right inside to Franklin. Working on Joe LaCour. And just like in the first half, another chance for a 3-point play. Well, not hard to figure out what they're going to do, huh? Spread the floor and then pound it into Franklin. It all starts with good spacing and the great bounce pass to feed him inside, and then Franklin does the rest. Foul number 2 on Lawrence Joe LaCour. Redshirt freshman out of Queens. One of the things that Josh Duell does for this team, and one of the reasons why he starts, because he can get himself out onto the perimeter. So when you've got Franklin that needs room to maneuver in the post, you're able to spread 4 out and 1 in. Franklin had his career high 30 points along with a career high 18 rebounds at Boise State, the bracket buster game Saturday before last, and that really helped to re-energize this Siena team that had hit a funk. Joe LaCour with the putback, the Jaspers on the board. First bucket for the starting center for Manhattan. Duell gets the ball back after the screen. Nice reverse by Franklin. Ubelis misses the putback, and then he's going to be called for the over-the-back foul. That's why you got to convert the first one so that you don't pick up that foul. That's his third. Remember, 2 personal fouls and 1 technical foul. Time and again, though, Siena continues to get the ball into the post very easily, Rob. Well, because of good action. Great ball movement, player movement, running through stuff, not forcing things. They've really executed out of their half-court offense. And a mindset of unselfishness. And with that, they've opened up a 13-point lead. And that's the key. You know, you talked about it. 3 different guys scoring 30 or more. You've got to be unselfish and not worry about who's scoring a basketball for 3 different guys to do. Green's pass intended for Austin goes out of bounds, and the Saints get it back. And quickly, Ronald Moore trying to push the tempo, seeing if he can catch Manhattan asleep. Now they set it up. 17:47 to go second half.
And that's a nice combination when you can rush the ball up the floor, see if you can get a quick one. If not, settle in and give him the ball.
Franklin given a little bit of space that time by Joe LaCour, and he missed the bank shot. Chris Smith into the lane. Nice little floater. He got around Hasbrook and found himself an open look at the rim.
It's amazing when he finds good shots, he makes good shots. The problem with Chris Smith is he's got to learn what's a good shot and what's not. It's a lot different at this level.
Well, he originally committed to Seton Hall after he went to prep school. He had offers on the table from Oklahoma State, Iowa, Iowa State, Washington State, Cincinnati. Clearly, Chris Smith is a very good ball player. Tay Fisher, he's 0 for 3 from beyond the arc tonight.
And you heard the groan as soon as he caught the basketball. All those Siena St. fans here expecting the ball to go in.
Well, Fisher is the 4th all-time leader in three-point baskets made in Siena history, 9 behind Mark Brown. So he's got a chance to move up a little bit on that list. Second foul on Kenny Hasbrook, both here in the second half. Green guarded by Tay Fisher. Pearson crosses over Moore into the paint. Nice looking drive for the sophomore point guard.
That's breaking ankles. Terrific crossover to get himself into the lane, and then again at 6'2", 6'3", he can finish in the paint.
Franklin this time has it stripped, but he gets it back and puts it right back in. The 6'5" sophomore now with 21 points.
Oh, by the way, speaking of finishing in the paint,
Alex Franklin averages just under 15 points per game. And again, he missed 5 games in midseason because of a lower back injury. And after that, he eased his way back into the lineup. So if you take that stretch out, he would have been able to make a good case for being a first-team All-MAAC selection as well.
And what you got to love is he's not worried about floating on the perimeter. He's content to just go score it inside.
Big 3 by Pearson.
He's a guy that can shoot them back into it. If he and Austin can get hot at the same time, they're dangerous.
Tay Fisher back out to Josh Duell. Duell, by the way, was the big hero in the upset back in November of 20th ranked Stanford. Duell went for 16 points and a couple of big threes in the second half.
And also the hero in the big win down at Ryder. His 3 to win that game won them the regular season.
There's Duell behind the back pass, and Franklin missed the easy one.
Oh, come on, Alex. We might have seen that a few times if you finish with authority.
So you've got your center dribbling down the paint, passing behind the back, the hard part, and then the guy who finishes everything tonight around the basket, unable to finish. Great look, but Franklin, about the only thing that hasn't gone right for Siena here tonight.
On the shores of the Hudson River and on the forefront of technology is where you'll find Marist College. For more than 60 years, Marist professors, students, and alumni have been making an impact beyond the classroom, shaping the future and respecting the past. Through our partnerships, internships, and initiatives with some of the nation's leading companies, Marist College prepares students for a full and successful life filled with opportunity. And it all begins here at Marist College.
We're back at the Times Union Center in Albany, New York. Siena, the #1 seed, with an 8-point lead over Manhattan. And tomorrow, pretty big day here at the TU Center. Not only the MAAC tournament men's semifinals, but during the women's championship game. If you are a fan of High School Musical, you're going to want to be in this building. Drew Seeley will be here singing the anthem beforehand. He's got a mini concert at halftime. Then he'll be conducting an autograph session during the second half of that women's championship game, which tips off again at 11 tomorrow. You can buy tickets by calling 1-800-30-EVENT or go to MAACsports.com for more information. Have you figured out yet, Mr. Kennedy, what you're going to do to get that autograph for your daughter tomorrow?
Absolutely. Coming to see the game. See if the 20th ranked Marist Red Foxes can continue their string of victories and get an autograph.
You're going to stand in line? You're going to stand in line or use your pull, your ability to get behind the velvet rope?
I'm going to try to sneak one in there. Not quite sure. I mean, it's bad enough I've been given strict instructions from my daughter to come up with an autograph.
Don't screw it up, Dad.
Yep.
Antoine Pearson picks up the foul. Hasbrook misfires from the baseline.
I tell you what, it's amazing that Manhattan's down by just 8. You get the sense that Siena has thoroughly outplayed them, but the scoreboard doesn't reflect that.
Green posting Fisher. Can't get it to go. Once again, Green has it stripped away by Fisher. It goes out of bounds. Siena basketball.
And every time they get themselves going in the right direction, they miss an opportunity. Whether it was a couple missed foul shots early on, that time, good effort on the offensive glass, just didn't finish.
I asked Siena coach Fran McCaffrey a couple of years ago if he was ever concerned about opponents trying to post up Tay Fisher on the low post because he's only 5'9", 5'10", and he said absolutely not, as Fisher misfires. He says it's not the size of the guy on the post defense, it's the toughness of the guy playing post defense, and he likes the way Tay Fisher defends regardless of whether he's given up 2 inches or 6 inches. We saw right there he gave up the first shot but made it tough and then stripped the ball away.
And it is a matter of just being physical and tough and having that mental capacity to fight through it. He's also got the quickness that he can use to his advantage if you put the ball on the floor or bring it down.
Foul on Joe LaCour, his third. The break in the action here is Fisher and Green, who have been battling at both ends. We get a little talking to from Joe DeMeo, the official. They've had a couple of dust-ups here in this ball game, and that is part and parcel to postseason play. Goaltending against Joe LaCour. Count the basket for Kenny Hasbrook.
You come over, you want to be aggressive and challenge on the rotation defensively, but he caught it on the way down. Yep, good call by the officials, and you knew it was a good call because it was a double whistle. Most of the times when you see two guys blowing the whistle, 9 times out of 10 it's the right call.
Hasbrook now with 6 points. Green now guarded by Hasbrook. Under 10 to shoot for the Jaspers.
The Jaspers, each time they've seen zone, they're just standing around, and then they get a bad shot.
Austin took a shot to the face during the bid to get the rebound. And now once again the officials are having a conversation with Antoine Pearson as things are getting a little bit chippy. This is quarterfinal number 2 of the 2008 MAAC tournament here in Albany. Coach Sherman, Ron Kennedy with you, enjoying the Jaspers and the Saints. And again, Manhattan the number 8 seed, Siena the number 1 seed. That's why Siena has the home white uniforms, not because they are the home team here in Albany. Smith, Green, Crawford, Joe LaCour, and Booley on the floor. So after Pearson got a talking to from the officials, and Austin still working on his eye after taking a shot to the face, they both go to the bench. As you said, Rob, a lot of standing around for Manhattan against the zone.
Everything on the perimeter, finally get it in to the paint.
Crawford tries the reverse. Hasbrook picks the rebound out of the air.
And when you stand around, you have the tendency to get bad shots. You got to get ball movement and player movement. You can't just start standing around because they're playing zone.
Franklin sets the screen for Hasbrook. Kick it back Moore. Hasbrook from 20. Off the back plate. Joe LaCour the rebound. Manhattan down 10 with the basketball. 42-32.
Now you see Manhattan gets much better movement against the man-to-man. Got a mismatch out on the perimeter, does Green.
Working on Corey McGee, who now cuts off the dribble and stands his ground. Joe LaCour fouled on the jump shot. Alex Franklin knew what he had done. He winds up on the floor and actually working on his sneaker, retying that shoelace. First foul on Alex Franklin.
Looked like he may have come down and turned his ankle as he came out to go challenge. Joe LaCour, yep, didn't step on the angle, just got caught on the Siena, the paint.
That happens from time to time.
Corporal, have that removed.
So the foul on Franklin allows Joe LaCour to go for 3 free throws. Meanwhile, you see on the right side of your screen there, we saw for a moment, it looks like it's a contact lens issue for Devin Austin. So that would make you think that he'll be back into the ball game before too long.
Well, Joe LaCour, a guy who has good upside. He's 6'9", he's got perimeter skills. Not the strongest guy. He's going to have to really dedicate himself to get into the weight room here in this offseason. Redshirted last year. It's really worked out to his benefit, as he's a guy whose best days are still ahead of him.
Well, he is a skilled big guy who is in his second year in the program, redshirted last year, and did not play much for the first half of this year, and really had a breakout game January 7th at Marist. He got his shot and seized the opportunity, scoring 17 points against the Red Foxes. Joe LaCour with 5 here tonight.
And Manhattan trying to get something going with the full court pressure off the made foul shot.
And again, Manhattan hanging around, down just 7. Edwin Ubilis has been quiet here in the second half, and really quiet since he got his technical foul and was sent to the bench late in the first half.
Yep, good point.
He was so proactive right out of the gate, and he has really gone away. Here's Franklin leaning in. A lot of contact, no call. Missed the shot. Franklin after it again. Relentlessly after the offensive glass, and he pulls it back out to Chris De La Rosa.
And that's really what makes Siena so good, is if you've got a guy like Ubilis who's quiet, then a guy like Franklin can step up and be as loud as you want him to be.
And Ronald Moore now with 8 points, burying the 3, and the lead is back to double figures.
And that's what's so hard, when you can't just key on 1 or 2 guys and you've got to defend all 5 on the floor. That's when your defense has to be really, really solid.
Booley working on McGee and De La Rosa, gets around them both, drops it off, and the layup for Green. Nice job by Patrick Booley to set up his teammate for an easy 2.
See a little hesitation from Ubilis.
And he lost it on the dribble. Fortunate that it went right to McGee.
Yeah, he's just off right now. You can see it. He's a guy who's got tremendous confidence, but his confidence lost a little bit. Maybe an easy putback like that gets him going in a positive direction.
Well, Ubilis had 6 quick points tonight. That's his first field goal since early in the first half. Just over 9 minutes gone here in the second half. Back to a 10-point ball game. Quiet night for Daryl Crawford as well with the basketball now. He is still scoreless, and he has been somebody who's gone over 20 points a couple of times in recent days. Traveling violation against Joe LaCour. 10:37 left second half. Timeout on the floor here in Albany. The top-seeded Saints lead the Jaspers 47-37. You're watching the MAAC Basketball Championships, but the MAAC Baseball Championships aren't far off. May 22nd through the 24th. Down in Trenton, New Jersey at Waterfront Park. To buy tickets, call 609-394-3300 or go to MAACsports.com for more information about the 2008 MAAC Baseball Championship. We are here at the Times Union Center in Albany, the home for the 2008 MAAC Basketball Championships. Chris Smith and the Jaspers beat St. Peter's last night in the first round to advance to the quarterfinals and trying to pull the upset of the #1 seeded Siena Saints. But right now they're stuck 10. Moore and De La Rosa, Siena's 2 point guards, in the game together, along with Ubilis, Franklin, and McGee.
Much like our previous game, this is a rematch of last year's quarterfinal matchup for both these teams. Game in which Manhattan was able to hang around, got it down to a 1-possession game coming down the stretch, and Siena was able to pull it out.
Moore misfires. Smith way up there for the rebound, able to save it. And the Jaspers with possession down 10.
And they've been able to hang around here this afternoon. If they were able to convert from the foul line, rebound the basketball with some energy, as well as not turn it over, they have an opportunity to cut into this 10-point lead.
Alex Franklin nearly with the steal. Ball went out of bounds. And so with 21 seconds to shoot, Daryl Crawford to inbound. Able to get it in. Hervé Benugli into the game for the first time for the Jaspers. We've yet to see Brandon Adams, one of the reserve forwards for Manhattan. Blocking foul against McGee.
Barry Rorson searching for a spark off his bench right now. They need some energy.
Now Benugli, a 6'8" forward who is almost never used, averages just 0.9 points per game. So you don't expect him to be a spark, but who knows?
Just looking for some energy and maybe a big body to bang against Franklin. in the post. He does have that. You see his size inside.
Yeah, he's listed at 250. Junior out of Cameroon. Smith picks his way past De La Rosa, leans in and gets the shot to go.
When he doesn't settle for threes and instead uses his size to get into the lane, he's a much better player.
Chris Smith now with 8 points. Once again, it's an 8-point ball game. Moore left alone for a moment, so he attacks. Little lefty runner off the glass, rims out. Smith with another rebound.
Been a long time since Siena's been able to get out and run and get on a run. One of the reasons why the crowd is quiet and flat.
Benugli unable to corral that rebound. He was the last to touch, and so the Saints get it back. Kenny Hasbrook and Josh Duell return to the Siena lineup, replacing De La Rosa and Franklin.
How much energy in the building here right now.
And plenty of it at the start. Siena was running and gunning, getting easy baskets. 3 slams, if I remember correctly, right off the bat.
Had good pace and had the crowd into it. Credit Manhattan, they've gotten the game to be a bit of a grind, but here's where they've got to be able to convert by running good offense, executing, and getting some shots late in the shot clock.
And now Siena has its starting 5 back on the floor, and just like that, with that unit, they get the easy layup.
Everybody has to focus in on Franklin the way he's been scoring it. And again, not afraid to share the basketball. Dumps it off for Ubilis as he is once again into double figures. He's been in double figures every game but once this season.
And last year as a freshman, Edwin Ubilis was the MAAC Rookie of the Year, along with Frank Turner of Canisius, who we will see this evening. The Griffs will take on Ryder in our 3rd quarterfinal game. Crawford's on the board with a layup. Back to an 8-point ball game. Ubilis always seems to be probing when he's got the ball, either with the dribble or the pass. .14 to shoot. Here is Ubilis.
And Hooley clamping down on him, and Franklin down in the lane before the shot attempt. The official sees it, blows the whistle. Excuse me, it's Hasbrook down in the paint.
And perhaps one of our cameras caught what happened. We'll take a look during this timeout. 7:31 remaining in the second half. Kenny Hasbrook's down. His Saints lead by 8.
What does it take to be a leader? A strong foundation to understand the challenges of our world. The vision to inspire others. The desire to make a difference. Jesuit education at Loyola. Preparing tomorrow's leaders today.
Here in Albany, 49-41 in our 2nd quarterfinal. The Saints lead the Jaspers. But we've got more basketball to come tomorrow and Monday, and tickets are still available for the Citizens Bank MAAC Championships. You can go to the website, MAACsports.com, or call 1-800-30-EVENT for tickets. All the action of March Madness going on here in Albany, and we take another look at the injury to Edwin Ubilis, or rather to Kenny Hasbrook, and an elbow to the shoulder area from Hervé Benugli to Hasbrook has knocked the junior co-captain out of the ball game and into the locker room for treatment. Hard to really determine from that look exactly what it was, but Benugli seemed to have an elbow up in that shoulder area.
Yeah, Hasbrook with a good solid screen. Defense just trying to fight through it.
Moore with a left-handed finish.
I'll take what the defense gives you, able to get himself into the lane for the finish. Here's where they've got to get something going with their defense. Forced 8 turnovers in the first half, did Siena. They've only been able to force 3 here in the second half.
Good to see Devin Austin back in the lineup for Manhattan. Had that problem with his contact lens. And the Jaspers are going to need some offense out of him here in the second half, but another turnover. Ronald Moore tried the no-look pass to Franklin. Pearson, though, knocked it away, and here comes the Jaspers the other way. Offensive foul. Josh Duell draws the charge, and he took a shot to the chops. Remember, earlier this year, he lost a tooth while going hard to the floor and had to have oral surgery. So he gets up holding his face after that shot to the chops.
And good call by the officials, because clearly he just held his ground. Good defense. Smith, the guy that's jumping in, initiating the contact. That is perfect defense on the break.
Foul number 2 on Smith. Ubelis called for steps. Turned, no one was there, and before he put the ball to the floor, took a step.
And he is just out of sync here this afternoon. You're not seeing the best of Edwin Ubelis.
Ubelis, a sophomore from Poughkeepsie, who was a first-team All-MAAC selection this year, and is considered by most folks around the conference as one of the front runners for Player of the Year next year. But as you say, we haven't seen that side of Ubelis so far here tonight.
Well, Manhattan again getting stagnant against the zone.
Pearson takes a look up at the shot clock. Here's Crawford trying to drive on Moore. He does so, and he gets the finger roll to go.
That's what you got to do. Don't just pass the ball on the perimeter, but get into gaps, whether it's via the pass or off the dribble.
Tay Fisher in the ball game for Siena. Fisher, Moorebrook in the locker room receiving treatment. He went down with an injury right before the last media timeout. Nice look inside to Franklin, who missed the easy one. There's the tip by Ubelis, no. And the Saints miss 2 easy opportunities.
And they have consistently been able to dump the ball inside on that action. The pick and pop and then reverse and dump in.
Kevin Austin had it knocked away by Tay Fisher. And Siena grabs possession. Here comes Ronald Moore up ahead to Fisher. 4-3. He's got it.
Well, as soon as the ball was in flight ahead, you could hear the crowd starting to sense it, looking for something to get going. Every time it looks like Manhattan might get themselves back into the game, they're unable to convert. Neither team's really converted from beyond the 3, as you see right there.
The only senior on the Siena roster with his first bucket here tonight, and he's got the lead back up to double figures. Austin in traffic, lays it in for 2. Devin Austin with his first points here in the second half after scoring 13 in the first half.
Able to hide behind the back line of the zone defense to find an easy one. Double-double for Austin. As we said, he's kept them in the ball game, but he needs somebody else to step up and give him some support.
15 seconds to shoot, and the reach-in foul called against Pearson. And so on Antoine Pearson, that is number 4. And that is a huge concern for that man, head coach Barry Rorson of the Jaspers. He is their leader in the backcourt, and so Patrick Gooley will come into the ball game with 4:38 remaining, and Pearson will go to the bench for at least a short period of time.
And I'll tell you what, down 9, I'm not so sure that you have to worry about his 4 fouls. Game's coming down the stretch. You got to figure out a way to keep yourself in the ball game.
Holding foul before the inbounds pass.
Barry Rorson knowing that media timeout coming up here quickly once we get under the 4-minute mark. Probably just going to rest Pearson until we get to that last media timeout.
And that foul called on Smith, his 3rd. Moore, the trigger man for Siena along the baseline. Into Tay Fisher. Here's Ubelis, left alone from the left wing. No good. Duell keeps it alive. Franklin after it, and he's going to be called for the reach-in foul. Smith had just gained control, and Franklin picks up the personal. Number 2 on Franklin, and the 6th against Siena. Both teams with 6 so far here in the second half, so the next foul will put them over the limit. And there is that next foul, number 7 against Siena, and it goes against Duell, so a 1-and-1 coming up.
Well, Siena trying to get up in that 3/4 court trap, but Manhattan attacked, threw over, and Josh Duell, 40 feet from the bucket, doesn't have the quickness to be able to stay with Crawford off the bat.
The applause you hear is for Kenny Hasbrook's return from the Siena locker room. He has been in there for the last 6-7 minutes receiving treatment on his shoulder, and he's right back into the ball game replacing Tay Fisher. One and one for Crawford, who is a 66% foul shooter. he will get the bonus. Crawford came off the bench last night with 12 points, and he has been somebody the Jaspers can rely on for offense in that sixth man role. This is the closest that Manhattan has been here in the second half. Franklin will go back to the line to try and change that as Benugli picks up the foul.
And Smith nearly able to tap it from behind and force the turnover. Instead, Franklin gets himself to the line.
Well, Siena's biggest lead was 15 points, but again, the Jaspers have done a great job of just hanging around without doing any one or two things in particular well, except for stay in the ball game.
That's exactly right. It's not as if all of a sudden they came out and started making threes, but what they've done is they've slowed the pace down. That's the biggest thing. They've not allowed Siena to get out and run. On makes now, they're up in a little three-quarter court trap, and even when it doesn't force turnovers, it forces them to reverse the basketball and doesn't allow them to rush it up the floor.
Now this is a Siena team with some big non-conference wins this year. We told you they knocked off Stanford when the Cardinal was ranked 20th. They also knocked off UAlbany, their crosstown rival here at the TU Center in front of 13,000 fans. And then they beat Boise State, ran them out of the gym at the Bracket Buster Saturday game. Trying to take care of business here in the MAAC tournament as the #1 seed.
And here's where Manhattan's got to get a good shot. That's not one.
But Smith will go to the line for two after the tough foul given up by Duell.
Now got away with it again. This is the time and score where you've got to get good offensive possessions. Even though he forced it, at least he stayed with it long enough. So he gets himself into the lane, but two different defenders on him. But there's his strength. Get this deep into the lane. He's jumping in, trying to force the action. Maybe not quite as bad of a shot as I thought initially. Has the opportunity to make good from the line.
Smith only a 64% foul shooter. Younger brother of J.R. Smith of the Denver Nuggets. 0 for 2, Ubilis the rebound, so a big failed opportunity to have potentially cut the lead down to 6.
And that's a story all game long here in the second half. Hanging around, somehow keeping it close, but then never making the plays they need to really get themselves right back in the ball game and put some pressure on Siena.
And once again, Siena has its starting unit on the floor. Ubilis called for the carry. That takes us to our next break, and Antoine Pearson on cue will come back into the ballgame with those 4 personal fouls. Siena trying to hold on for a spot in the MAAC semis. We're back in Albany, where Siena leads Manhattan 55-47. Late stages of the second half of quarterfinal #2. Our Pepsi slam of the game, Edwin Ubilis off the feed from Ronald Moore. That's the way the game started, but we haven't seen much of that since the first 5 minutes. The tempo has just been in favor of Manhattan. They've slowed it to a crawl, and even though Siena has the highlight reel plays at Ubilis and Franklin, you look up at the scoreboard, it's an 8-point game.
And somehow Manhattan hanging around. If you're Siena, you don't want to do that. You're the higher seed. You want to throw that knockout punch. Give yourself an opportunity to rest some guys. They just have not had that. They've been flat here in this second half. We said credit Manhattan. Little change of defense coming out of the locker room at halftime. Barry Rorson's team with the three-quarter court trap has slowed it down.
Franklin trying to save, and he does. Kenny Hasbrook was the one who disrupted the play. Now he's got the ball back in the corner. And now Franklin gets back into play. He had gone flying out of bounds to save the basketball. Ronald Moore smartly waited for Siena's best post presence to join them. 15 to shoot. Alex Franklin leads all scorers tonight with 22 points. Hasbrook looking to penetrate. Little runner. No. Dual tips. No. There's Alex Franklin. Triple team. Gets it off to Hasbrook, who puts it in.
Again, sharing the basketball, not forcing it up. Off the offensive board. 3 guys around you. That means somebody's wide open. It was Hasbrook.
And the crowd of 7,894 here at the Times Union Center for the afternoon session. hoping that the hometown Saints make it to the MAAC semis. Big possession there to stop the Jaspers and hold on to a 10-point lead.
And if it's a big possession, if you're Manhattan, you've got to get a better shot. Can't just take everything on your shoulders. You got to let things come to you. Get it out of the context of your offense.
In the paint again, Siena. Franklin shot no, and Chris Smith with a long rebound. Crawford, little runner. Pace and tempo here, just strange.
Absolutely strange. Here comes some pace.
Ubilis with a quick answer at the other end. So basket for basket. Siena's happy to do that to get it back up to 10.
And the first time in eons that Siena's been able to get a fast break opportunity.
Ubilis now with 12. Moore has 10 to go along with the 22 of Franklin. Pearson left his feet, somehow got it to Benugli. Austin cleans it up. And a timeout called by the Manhattan bench.
And Doug, can you tell me how Manhattan's in this ball game?
Hard to figure, but that is what we have. Manhattan within 8 here in Albany.
Fairfield University is among the nation's top-ranked Jesuit universities and a valuable resource to the region, graduating students who are well prepared to make meaningful and lasting contributions to the greater community. Students of all ages choose Fairfield University for its convenient location, flexible schedules, and its dynamic learning environment anchored in the time-honored values of a Jesuit education. Discover the treasure that is Fairfield University.
What are you looking for in a college? Cutting-edge academic programs, a faculty that's second to none, great recreational opportunities and residence halls? How about a college that will provide you with the education you need to become a leader in your profession and in your community? If that's what you're looking for in a college, you'll find it at Canisius. To learn more about Canisius College, call 1-800-843-1517 or visit us on the web at canisius.edu. Canisius College, where leaders are made.
Doug Sherman, Rob Kennedy back in Albany with you. 59-51. Siena hanging on by 8 points with a minute and a half to go, trying to face Loyola in tomorrow night's first semifinal.
And hey, you never know. Manhattan hanging around just long enough. This has been a strange game. If they can get something off of their full court pressure, force a couple turnovers and quick scores, who knows?
Kenny Hasbrook breaking the pressure to Edwin Ubilis, and by and large the Siena lineup on the floor, bunch of good free throw shooters when it comes to that.
Hard to press them too because they can all handle the basketball and put it to the floor.
Moore with the assignment now along with Hasbrook in the backcourt. Ubilis, Franklin, and Duell up front.
And if you haven't given up the foul now you just got to play it straight up.
Franklin inside, another assist for Ronald Moore.
Now, they may be young, but they play like a veteran team. That's terrific execution on that set.
And a double-double for Ronald Moore. 10 points, 10 assists. Franklin, as you see, nearing his own double-double. Smith mishandled. Now the tough shot over Duell. Long rebound. Here they come our way. Green able to come up with possession. Quickly to Smith, who lays it in.
Nice bounce pass by Pearson right off the bounce. Saw Smith was thinking about going up and dunking. It looked like he may have tweaked an ankle. See, he's bothered there. Went up with an awkward jump and land.
You're right. With the jumping ability that he has, you would expect him to be able to get up to the rim with ease, but obviously something is wrong. Yeah, perhaps a cramp. Who knows? Let's hope that's all it is with the ice treatment on the calf there.
Trying to stretch it out.
61-53 Siena. Now, at this point, I'm guessing you do go for the immediate steal, and if not, go for the foul.
You got to give up the foul. Obviously, you're going to have to force Siena to go earn it from the foul line.
Alex Franklin, 24 points, 9 rebounds. He is our Pepsi player of the game. Alex Franklin, the sophomore out of Reading, Pennsylvania, also 3 steals, very active. He established a post presence for Siena right from the start here this evening. Now Manhattan still not giving up that foul. Pressure broken. And now Duell will go to the line.
And you would think that you want to foul the big guy, but not so with Duell. 83% from the foul line. As you said, tough to press this Siena team because they handle it. And then once they break it, you're going to have to foul somebody, and they've got good foul shooters.
Franklin is the worst foul shooter statistically, but that 66% took a huge hit for Franklin in the wake of the back injury. He had a prolonged slump from the line, so he's been shooting much better since. But by the numbers, Duell is the best for Siena. He's on the floor. He's at 83%, and he looks like it with his first point here tonight.
And that's why he's on the floor late in the game. His ability to handle the basketball, stretch you out, but also knock down those foul shots.
Franklin fouled by Walsh, and so with 19 seconds left, it appears to be pretty much over. 62-53, Franklin to the line to shoot a 1-and-1.
And certainly Siena got themselves a lead and then pretty much coasted here in the second half. A game that really had a strange flow to it. Barry Rorson's team was able to hang in there, hang around for long enough that if they could have made a couple of shots, a couple of plays late, who knows? But as you said, looks like Siena's going to be able to survive and advance on to the semifinals
against the Loyola team that swept them during the regular season, including Loyola's 85-66 win in Baltimore, the worst loss in 11 years in MAAC play for a Siena team.
And in that game, Loyola with 18 threes, just stretching it out, knocking it down from deep.
Will you?
So it looks like Siena will advance on into the semifinals for the 14th time in their 19 seasons into MAAC. So certainly they've been one of the better teams in MAAC tournament play.
Walsh gets the layup. Freshman out of the Bronx on the board, but Siena just running out the clock here. Hasbrook fouled by Green. And so Kenny Hasbrook has a chance to reach double figures as well. But no doubt Alex Franklin, the Pepsi player of the game in this one with his 26 points. And Ronald Moore with a double-double. And you see Moore talking to Hasbrook. Moore with the 10 points and 10 assists. He assisted on everything early when Siena jumped to that lead.
And it looked like it was everything to Franklin early as he got himself great position in the paint. And then Moore with the law start, putting the ball on the floor, bounce passes into the post. Able to find Franklin time and time again.
And Franklin will go out, as will Ubilis, and the crowd of 7,800 gives a nice round of applause. By the way, Ronald Moore is on pace to become one of the all-time assist leaders in Siena history. He's on pace to pass Matt Brady, the head coach of Marist, who was a star back in the 80s at Siena. And we will see Coach Brady coming up in the evening session with his Red Foxes. Pearson for three, drawing some oohs and ahs from the crowd.
Well, with that high arcing shot, why not? Got hang time on his release. Some oohs and ahs, and now some boos. Fans looking to get to the exits, apparently.
And so Ronald Moore, again, he is on pace to become the second all-time assist leader in school history. Mark Brown, the #1 guy, and Brady, #2. And if they can keep this unit together where he's got the running mates in his class of Franklin and Ubilis, who's to say he can't even give Mark Brown a run for that all-time record?
Yeah, a lot of guys that can finish running alongside you.
That's 11 now for Moore, and he will go out. His evening's work is done. We will see him tomorrow against Loyola in the semifinals as Chris De La Rosa comes into the ballgame. Well, for an 8-1 game, it's about all you could expect. Manhattan was certainly a game opponent, but they fall 66-58. Siena moves on to the MAAC semifinals to take on Loyola. For those of you watching on MSG, thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow. And for the rest of you still with us here on the MAAC Television Network, we've got the winning coach and our Pepsi player of the game making their way over to our table. Rob Kennedy is getting out there, getting mic'd up, getting his earpiece in, and we will hear the thoughts of the winning team while Barry Rorson's Jaspers see their season come to an end. Final record of 12-19, They beat St. Peter's last night and then gave Siena all it could handle here today. But the Jaspers are done, while Kenny Hasbrook lives to play another day. We'll also have to get a report on his shoulder injury that sent him back to the locker room in the second half for a few minutes. He was able to come out and close out the game, but it appears that Hasbrook is all right. He finished with 9 points. Ronald Moore 11 points and 10 assists. Edwin Ubelis had 12 points for the Saints, but the man who led the way, Alex Franklin, 26 points, our Pepsi player of the game, standing by with Rob.